Here we are.
So
The Neighborhood Watch.
that's right. Welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, neighbor. Howdy, neighbor. Should we start by introducing ourselves?
We should.
Okay.
We should.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, I am. What is my handle? I had to think about that.
Yeah, I heard two different things. I actually have a new handle idea too. You were TK 1138.
138.
Or 138.
Yes.
That's right. Yep.
So I'm TK 138.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. And for short, if we refer to me as Dr. K.
Right. Because you do have your PhD.
I do.
So
in movie watching madness.
That's right. That's why you joined the Neighborhood Watch.
Absolutely. Started the Neighborhood Watch. In fact, with my co-host,
Yes.
I'll let him introduce himself
Yes.
because I don't know his new handle.
Right. Well, I have a few different handles, and this one I think I want to use this for this, and
Okay.
just because it's very for very nostalgic reasons too.
Yes.
But I am Peter.
Peter.
Yes.
Ah.
And the reason I'm saying that is people that know me will know that was how I introduced myself to a friend when I was like in 3rd grade or something. I got tired of explaining my real name, and I was a big Ghostbusters fan, so I just said,
yes.
"I'm going to be Peter Venkman." So,
Mr. Venkman.
Yeah. So, hello.
What a coup. What a coup.
and so that my mom would hear my friend come over and say, "Peter, where's Peter?" And she'd be like, "What?" So,
Who? Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So for a long time, I
that
was just
is
like,
awesome.
yeah. So there we go.
The other handle I was going to use was Ezekiel Samurai, which is a handle I gave to myself
I like that.
a gazillion years ago because I thought it was funny,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great because so my first name, like yours, it's like, wow, I got to explain that, right?
Right.
Our Bible thumping parents, they're
Oh yes. Yeah.
of the same generation, almost the exact same age.
Well, and
Let's
they
go
were
with these
big.
great Bible names, and you're like, oh,
Yep.
it's good, but I need to explain that for the 10,000th time.
Right.
And so I just switched mine to another Bible name.
Yeah. Because
From to Ezekiel.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's good.
And I think your parents were big Pulp Fiction fans too.
Oh,
right? So
absolutely. Right.
they named you after that quote.
Yes, because they were like Darth Vader. They had clairvoyance and knew that Pulp Fiction would come out.
No, I thought you were born in 1994. You weren't? Oh man.
Dang, the secret's out.
All right. So Dr. K,
Yes,
we just watched a great movie.
Peter.
And
We did.
It was called Dawn of the Dead.
The
And-
Dawn of the Dead.
Yep. And it was from 1978.
Yes, not to be confused
Mm-hmm.
with Dawn of the Dead, the remake with Ving Rhames,
Yes, exactly.
which is also a good movie. But we were going to keep it real and
Right.
go with the real. I mean, the real.
Yeah,
deal.
right. Yeah, because I like the reimagining, whatever it
Yeah.
was. It was good.
Yes,
It was fun.
agreed.
But like most of those remakes, I think it just kind of reminds you of how good the original is.
Absolutely right.
So
Couldn't agree with you more. And listeners, you're going to hear me say, I couldn't agree with you more, probably 5,000 times if you follow us.
that's a catchphrase.
Yes, it
so-
is a catchphrase.
Yep.
And I'm just inclined to keep saying it over and over like a damn
Right.
parrot. But
Well, that's good. Yeah.
come to love us, baby.
Yep.
Come to love us.
Yep. So let's go and look at this movie now, and there was a lot of things. First of all, I'll start it off. I'm just gonna hit it over to you, but
Yes, absolutely. Go.
But what I love about this movie, even how it starts, is her head against that red carpety thing on in the TV studio.
Yes.
That color of red.
Yes.
And the pale face and everything. I mean,
Oh,
it's
my
just
goodness.
you just know you're in for a
Yep.
great movie. There's something about that. I don't know, that
Yeah.
specific color combo.
Oh, my goodness. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back to this. But it's so color-wise and visually and everything about the painting that Romero gives you is 1978 to the max.
Yep.
And what you're getting at with that, like, 3-inch long shag soundproofing is what it was, right?
Yep.
It just you see it and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
here,
It's like,
bye,
welcome.
we're here.
Yep. Welcome
This
to the
is a zombie
70s.
movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I love that opening, and it's just, and then you start to hear the music right away, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, there's the goblins.
Goodness,
and
yes.
and which we were watching it, and I never really paid much attention to this, but I didn't know that Dario Argento had such a big hand in this movie.
Me neither.
So,
Yeah, I tend to forget And it's one of those things where it should be so obvious.
Right.
Like when we started to rewatch it and we're reading the credits, we're like, oh dang,
Yeah.
he was totally into everything, right?
Everything, yep.
I mean, you're talking about playing with the goblins and helping with the soundtrack, but he was really in there. He's listed for like 5 different things.
Yes, exactly.
film.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and he probably had a huge hand in the color too.
Right.
I bet.
I'd have to think so. Yeah.
This is the guy that did Suspiria.
Right.
And so he knows how to use color.
So much.
So,
yeah.
So okay, so then we see the TV studio and we see all these people yelling at the 2 people in front of the camera, and it just keeps going on, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right.
And there's a lot of angry people.
Right.
They're behind the cameras. They're pointing. They're shouting.
Right.
They're throwing things. Not really sure why they're so angry.
Yeah, and that's like a running theme in the film is that it's not that you're just seeing the total breakdown of like rule of law and everything is going to hell in a handbasket, but Romero has definitely got to be making a statement about what's going on, like just kind of a cultural statement.
Yes. Yep.
On TV, right? On the state of television,
Yep.
because he keeps going back to that, especially the one-eyed guy keeping his evil in with his eye patch.
Oh yes, that guy. Yep, Francis Ford Coppola.
And Francis Ford Coppola.
Yep. As we both said when it was funny because you said that and I was thinking that. That's how cool that was.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So I'm sure for everyone who's seen it, there's 2 actors in there, and
they're
there's nothing more to be said. If you haven't seen the film, go out and watch the film.
Yep. Exactly. You have to see it. So.
Yes. Yeah. But those 2 guys, just that state of like there's just confusion all the time at the studio, right?
Yep.
Like they're yelling, and it's not just the 2 guys.
It's everybody
that are in front of the camera. It's everybody behind the camera.
They're all so angry, and
they don't know what's going on.
Right, and that producer comes in and he's
doing that.
They're yelling, and he's like, we got to have that phone number going on there, and they're like, no. Right. Nobody's even watching this anymore, and he's just worried about his ratings.
His ratings.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a zombie apocalypse going on, but he's like, I need to get those ratings.
Yeah. And that really, and we're going to talk about this a ton, but that's a bit of foreshadowing about what we were talking about with the zombies, right? The whole point of the zombies, because this is the least aggravated group of zombies in any zombie movie, probably.
Very
right?
true.
And it's that whole, they're stuck in a different time, right?
Yep.
Everything's gone to hell, but the zombies themselves are just going into that weird routine, and he is mirroring that, right? Because he's not a zombie yet, but he's not facing up to the fact that the world's gone to hell, and he's worried about getting his ratings.
Right. He's still stuck in the old mode. He hasn't gone with. He hasn't changed. Yeah. Yep. Fun scene, great way to start a zombie movie.
Oh man.
Just you're already in the chaos.
Yes.
And what I like about this too is, I mean, of course he's like he knows people are coming. This is a sequel. Even though it's not called Night of the Living Dead 2.
Right.
People, he's aware that this is a sequel, and so people are coming in. They've already seen the first one, or they know of it at least, and so it's just kind of it's this great way of like it's not showing this is how the zombie apocalypse started, and it's not doing a recap or anything. You're just in the chaos. Right away. Okay. The zombie thing's already going on.
Totally.
We got to get to that helicopter.
Exactly. Yes.
And they get up there, and one of my favorite scenes and favorite guys in this movie is that weird kind of fuzzy-haired guy that just pops up.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where are you guys going?" Yeah. And he's all like, he looks like he tried out for Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Didn't get in. But he was friends with somebody, and George Romero.
Well, and the fact that he's all wall-eyed too, and that was great because neither of us had realized, thinking about it when we were watching it then. But then he's thinking about going to the island, right?
Yeah.
And then that's the whole premise of the remake was getting to the island. Yeah.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it is. It's like it's it's one of the things that good horror film makers know better than anything is that you can't be serious all the time. Right. If you are, people just tune out, man.
It gets boring.
You're done. You're bored because you can't be scared anymore if everything is doom. Every second is doom.
Yes.
It's doom. You've got to be able to get people on the roller coaster ride.
Yep.
And he was that great little flash in the pan, because
it's like, it's almost like he knows he's on camera. He's like,
Yes.
It's one of those great. he for me is like one of those great 70s and 80s actors that just kind of showed up. Like he wasn't even really an actor or anything. He was just like a friend of George Romero's. Everybody's like, hey, this guy's funny.
Right.
And
he's an R. Lee Ermey. Right. Exactly. Hey, I know this guy that could do that perfect.
And then he just does it.
Yeah.
Nails it.
Right.
Throws down the mic, walks away into oblivion. We never see him again. But he's
totally.
He did it. You know, he had his moment and he made it. So they get in the helicopter.
Yes.
I know we won't go through the whole movie like this. Otherwise, this whole podcast will be about 6 hours long.
Right.
But but I do want to keep setting us up through there because you know, just there's so many great things right away in the beginning.
Yeah,
there's that one cop who you were watching it, and this is one of your
I was just looking his name up.
Yeah, this is one of your great powers because you're looking at it and you go, I know this guy, and I'm thinking, yeah, he looks kind of familiar, and you're like, no, I think he's the dad in
Silver Bullet.
Yes.
So for all of you horror fans, who must know Silver Bullet because it's one of the best Stephen King movies ever made, or not, but it's Gary Busey at his best. I will say it's got to be. Gary Busey is on all points, and part of what I think made Silver Bullet so good with Gary Busey in it is that he is absolutely deadpan playing a believable character that Gary Busey was able to play.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
This is before Crazy Train Gary Busey, and I love Gary Busey. I think he's great. I love that he's just a total whack job.
Oh, I know, he's fun.
And he's got that great voice. But anyway, so he's playing Uncle Red in this movie, and he's deadpan, and everything. It's perfect.
Yep.
But at any rate, forget Gary Busey for a second because anyway, so
he's so
Corey
awesome.
Haim's girlfriend in the movie, her dad, who is I think the second guy to get killed, who is the Potter. That actor's name is. Let's find it. IMDb, tell me.
C. Thomas Howell. No.
Yes. His name is Kent Broadhurst.
Yes.
And so I remember. So I have seen Silver Bullet probably 5,000 times for right or wrong. Oh wait, no. Is it Kent Broadhurst? It's got to be him. Oh, I might have made a serious error here.
Well, I think while you're looking that up, I just wanted to mention too.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just you're great at these kind of noticing these obscure actors. The second greatest example of this is when we were watching that Sean Connery masterpiece called Zardoz. And wow, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole episode.
Yep. Maybe a 3-parter or something too.
Oh my goodness.
But
John Borman, it is absolute weirdest.
Oh man, yeah. So, but you know, we're watching it, and then there's this like weird kind of wizened, pale dude that's walking towards the camera, and again, you're like, I know that guy. He was in that one scene in Excalibur in the background. And I was like, what? And so I got to see this. And we watched it. And sure enough, it was the same guy.
Sure enough.
And it was, so it makes sense. John Borman also made Excalibur. So
that's right.
That was he's like, hey, I need a weird looking dude. That's the guy.
And it's funny because in both movies, that guy doesn't even have a line. He's one of those actors that you had him in there because of his face. Right? He's just got that weird
He's got the look
of just a dude. So to correct my earlier mistake, it is James A. Baffacio.
Right.
Is the guy who is the dad in Silver Bullet, and he's also the fantastic, overzealous cop who gets wasted.
He gets wasted.
And
he's really
Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
He's got one of those faces, like if you just, like with Silver Bullet, I loved his character because he was so goofy in Silver Bullet, right? He's drunk, he's watching the wrestling.
Yep.
And he's got the great line of, "Get him, Rebel! Oh, my parts!" As Rebel gets whacked in the nads.
Right.
And how can you forget it? That's the thing you fall in love with in movies, or I do anyway, in movies, right? Or just goofy moments like that.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And then when you see him in something else, you're like, it's that guy!
And it's just burned in your brain, Baffacio,
yes. And his name, so he actually had a name in Dawn of the Dead, and it's Wooly. With 2 O's, or Wooly.
All right.
So for whatever that's worth, people.
Wooly. Well, Wooly doesn't last very long.
He doesn't.
He gets killed,
He gets trashed.
And right away now we're shown one of the probably the first zombie of the movie now.
Yes.
Right. And
Yep.
And you're treated to that great disco blue makeup.
Oh my goodness!
And,
right.
And the music.
Really, I mean, that when you think of this movie, it's blue zombies. That's just everybody refers to that as the blue zombie movie.
Yes.
And there's something. It's not by accident that people remember it.
Right. Yeah, it's very distinct.
Yep.
And then you got the red disco Kool-Aid blood flying around. And,
yes.
Yeah, that's
the not very blood-looking blood, but perfect because just the whole visual in that movie. It had to be that.
It really does because in a weird way it makes it. I mean, again, this is another thing too. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
But I go back to how I first experienced it, and it almost made it more gross that it was this weird color blood. Right. It made it more. Right. It made me feel more nauseous. Totally. I think the first couple of times I saw it.
Totally.
So kudos.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And there's just so many great, just really distinctive touches like that Romero puts in there with Dario's help.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yep.
And there's the great scene in the basement where we're both just like, man, that was such a David Lynch moment where that Puerto Rican priest comes out there. Yeah. And
it's just everything gets awkward.
Yeah, and he's just got the one leg, and the other leg is like this crutch.
Yes.
And he just says his piece and just kind of walks off, and they don't really say anything to him. They just kind of look at him, and then he's gone. And it's like, that's a great David Lynch moment.
Oh man,
where just something strange happens, something's a little bit not normal, not
right.
And you're just like, okay, that just happened.
Totally. And that's such a thing with timing too. You don't, you have the opportunity to rush things because they're trying to assess things. The good guys, the cops at this point, right? The SWAT team, they're trying to figure out, and all this is going to hell. And you can really get the movie is starting to rush right there. And they did the exact opposite, which is a totally David Lynch thing to do, right? And be like, oh, and then now this happens.
Now we're gonna
just like, wait, what?
Yep, and just slows
and he's
everything
just in there
down.
creeping us out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great because the zombies are around.
They're just right.
They're just right there. They're just behind the door.
Yeah.
And he even kind of alludes to that.
Right.
But he's just gonna, say his piece for a little while, and now watch me walk away.
Yes. This is where the dead
but you're like, the zombies are.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then they start piling out after that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So then we are introduced to my favorite character in the movie. Was his name Peter as well? I think so.
Yes. So Ken Foree, sorry.
Yes.
Ken Foree.
Yep.
Yes, he's Peter.
He is great. He for me, he really kind of just grounds the whole movie.
Yeah.
He's really real.
Yep.
There's the other guys they're good too. They're fine, but they have their kind of cheesy late 70s, early 80s
he's
acting.
The balanced one. He's full of emotion.
Yeah.
You can tell he's having a really hard time.
Yep.
But he seems to be way more
he's
balanced about it.
He's how you want to act during a zombie apocalypse, right? Yes. He's got it together. He knows what he's got to do.
Yep.
He's not happy, but he's going to get through it. You can trust him. Flyboy, can't trust him so much.
No, and that's the thing with Flyboy is he almost and to the actor David M.G. Credit is he's unsettled, right? And so what he's like full of pretense.
Yep.
He wants to show you that he's in control and we're going to do this and we're going to do that.
Yep.
But what's he do when he finally gets a gun and has to shoot, right? He just
around he just about kills Peter.
Right.
He pisses Peter off. You don't piss Peter off.
Shoot at Peter. Yeah, right. And so you immediately get the idea, like, okay, this guy thinks he's in control, but he's really not.
He's not.
Scared.
Right.
He's out of his wits scared, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But he's putting a face on because of his pregnant girlfriend.
Yep, exactly. And he has the big cool jacket.
Yes.
And so, you're like, all right, well, he is kind of the leader because he's got that big cool jacket.
Yes.
But no.
Yep. No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
She's got it more together than he does.
Totally.
I think.
And that's the funny thing, right? Yeah. Yep. You see her kind of pulling into herself, whereas he's always, you can tell he's just like, man, I can't mess up. I'm not going to mess up. And he's always on the verge of blowing it.
Although we both kind of, erupted and started cheering when he does the weird Captain Kirk type.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Body check,
Yeah.
right? He runs up to the zombie, and he's like, all right, you're going to punch him? You're going to kick him?
Yeah,
No, he
nope.
just kind of flies at him with his shoulder, knocks him over,
Yeah.
and falls down too on his
Yes.
face. And you're like, wow.
That was awesome.
That is another one of those great moments where
Yeah.
it's like, that looked pretty cool though. Like,
Right. It did. It looks
was
like something you would actually do.
Right.
And, trying to be cool.
right.
And be like, "Ugh."
Like maybe that is some kind of martial arts move we haven't learned yet,
Oh,
But
man.
it was
Yeah, it was one of those moments where you had, okay, you can either have, you can shoot it from the back and have the stunt double do it.
Yeah.
And he could do something way cool.
Yeah.
Or
right.
forget that. Let's
Right.
have the actors
Just
do
let
it
him
and just goon it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because his character is kind of a goon anyway.
Right. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can just see George Romero going, "It's perfect. Cut.
Yes.
Let's go." In actuality, that would happen in real life.
That is how it would happen.
Yeah. So it's called suspension of disbelief. So that was a great moment.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So they get back in the helicopter,
Yes.
and now here we come to another moment where I think you nailed it when we were watching it, and you said, you know what? Right here now, while they're hovering above all the army guys and the rednecks drinking beer and coffee and smoking, and all those people are down there, and they're like little hunting groups.
Yep.
Helicopters going over them. That's when they should have landed.
It is. It really is.
They could have spared the whole rest of the movie,
I know it.
all those months of,
Right.
living in this like weird paranoia.
Yes.
They could have spared it all, but they
Yeah.
didn't. They didn't land.
Yep.
They didn't get with all the people that had tons of guns.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
where all those people went, but they were going somewhere.
But and the thing is too, it's like when you're watching it, it's like, well, wait a minute, those guys look like they have their shit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're all, yeah, like you said, they all have beers and they got
Yep.
coffee and
Yeah.
they're all together and they're in a line.
They're
and
having
just-
fun.
Yeah. Right.
They're in the middle of they're the only people in the movie that are just, well,
Right.
besides the bikers later on.
Right. Exactly.
But they're just like, hey, this is a blast.
Yeah. And it was really a throwback to the first movie, right?
Yep.
Because that's what you see at the very end.
That's
is
how it's
everybody's getting it together.
Mhm.
They're getting into these groups of hunters, and they're just kind of going around and like,
Yep.
okay,
Let's pick them
zombies
off.
aren't that fast.
Yeah.
Just pick them off.
We can
throw
do
them
this.
in a pile and burn them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fun. Come on,
But-
everybody.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does seem like once they've landed and they've been at the, they've been there for
Mm-hmm.
a while. And, well, it was really, we had that moment when the bikers showed up.
Yeah.
Because that pops their bubble. Right?
Yep.
They're kind of like, hey, we got this fake little paradise and it's great. But then the bikers show up and it's like, oh, dang, man.
That's
Everything
when
just went to hell in a
Yep.
handbasket
that's
in a second.
Yep. That's the end of the dream right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, we can get into this now or we can get into it later. Let's get into it now
Yeah.
because we're talking about it.
Yep.
That's one thing that really hit me too was that the bikers are really, the other people in this
Right.
whole situation, they're the real danger.
That's absolutely right.
Not
Yep.
the zombies,
That's absolutely right.
not,
Yep.
anything else. It's the other people
That's
that you
right.
have to be afraid of, that you have to be,
Yeah.
on your guard against.
Absolutely. Because now, so rule of law is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got good people trying to do good things, but they're always doing it under the threat
Mm-hmm.
of exactly what the bikers represent, which is you've lost rule of law, right? So
Yep.
people are they're doing whatever they want to do.
Anarchy.
And yeah, there's
Yeah.
no, you start to cash in on your more base instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And like when we were watching it, we were saying, it's the zombies, the bikers
Mm-hmm.
finally, right? So they've been living the way that they want to be as bikers in
Yeah.
regular society, right?
Right.
But it's almost like they're chained up.
Yeah.
Like they can't really do what they want to do.
They can't go
With
full
the
on.
zombie apocalypse,
Yeah.
now they can do what they want to do.
Yep.
Right? And we see this in episode 35 when you come back. Mad Max is this
Yeah.
to the max, right?
Yes.
To the absolute max. When you
Yep.
lose rule of law,
Yep.
how are people going
Mm-hmm.
to react?
Yep.
And then that's when you see Bartertown pops up
Yep.
and and just the everything in episode
It's-
2. I mean,
yeah.
in Road Warrior.
That's really kind of the
It's like
survival of the fittest right there, right?
Totally.
Like it's
yeah.
who-
or the biggest group, or
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, so the bikers are kind of like, yeah, now we get to live the way that we want to live. And then you're saying, oh, well, wait a minute, we thought the zombies were bad. It's actually
these bikers, yeah.
Running
it's
around.
Tom
Savini and company.
Running around, taking their blood pressure, doing whatever they want. It's crazy. It's just not fair. So, yeah. And, and it's funny, too, because the bikers, they're going around, and they're not taking food, they're not taking clothes, they're not taking things they actually need. Right. No, they want the money and the jewelry and all these things that we used to care about. That's what they want now.
Right.
You know?
Right. Which is totally and completely worthless in the situation that they're in.
Right.
They can't. Then that gets back to not being able to break the zombie form that everybody has fallen into. Right. The zombies want to go to the mall. Why? Well, because that's what they always used to do. That's what they always did. Yep. The bikers want to take all the money and the jewelry and all the good stuff. Why? Because that's all they know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, this is just great storytelling.
Oh man, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Now where are we now? We're landing in the mall. If we're still walking through the movie.
Yeah. Well, we had to get gas first.
That's
right.
Can't
forget because that's got one of the greatest moments in movie history.
Right.
With a certain zombie getting his head chopped off.
Yes, that is true. That's a good point. We cannot
Not
overlook
even his
that.
head, just the top of his head.
Yeah. That is great.
Cinematic genius.
Which is, I think you pointed it out when we were watching it too. You were like, and there's the string, and whoosh, there you go. Top of your head off.
The top of your head off.
And suddenly that was a great payoff because when you first see that zombie, you're like, geez, he's got a huge forehead.
He's got a huge head.
Wow.
And you even said it. You're like, oh, here comes Frankenstein zombie. Right?
Yeah. And then whoosh, there goes the top of his head. Okay, it all makes sense now. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I gotta watch that in slow mo because it was even better when we slow moed it. Yep. We can't actually see the fishing string, but
it's definitely
there.
You
don't need to see it.
Yeah, yeah. You can see the hook probably on the end there. So that was great. And yeah, and good point too. That was probably maybe, the only time we've ever seen in a movie a helicopter getting gassed up.
Yes. Oh, yeah, totally.
I can't think of any other
absolutely right
gassing up a helicopter scene.
Nope. We could think of like a million helicopters getting blown up, helicopters getting started.
Yep.
But yeah, you don't ever see them get gassed.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yep.
Oh, there was the two little kid zombies too.
Yes.
And which was again was that moment really stood out to me, the music in that scene.
Yes.
Because I think Dario is just like this crazy genius where he's watching the movie and he's like, okay, we need a symphony here. We need regular movie music here. Now we need synthesizers and kind of 80s stuff here. Yep. And now we need music from a cartoon here.
Totally.
And this music here, if I remember right, I think it was very like this kind of canned old movie music playing while these little zombie kids were frolicking around.
Yep. And it really speaks to what is so good about independent filmmaking when you don't have 50 guys there all to shit on your great ideas.
Yes.
Right. You're absolutely right because whether or not they had this discussion, he was taking serious risks in doing that, right? In saying, no, we're just gonna. This is just all the movie's disjointed in a way, right? Like a zombie walking or something, and so he reflects that in his delivery of the music and exactly what you're saying, like just radically change styles and jump around, and it so works, and it's great too because instead of taking to pick on somebody who's really good like John Williams, where you've got there is this voice singing to you throughout the whole movie, and it gives you familiarity, and it's taking you on this ride,
and it's another character,
and
really.
And it's exactly. Dario and the goblins are doing the exact opposite of that. They're trying to make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
And it creates these like little music vignettes. So it's like you go into a scene and then it's like, okay, now it's going to be this music, right? And so it's like he's setting the tone scene by scene instead of having a single theme for the whole movie. What happens is all of these little vignettes now look like a little patchwork, and that's like the zombie, the crooked, everything is just kind of stitched together, and It's super awesome, I think.
Yes, smart.
Lots of risk taking there. Yeah, because I'm sure if it was a Hollywood movie, they'd be like, nope, that's not. We don't do it that way.
Yeah,
we don't do it that way.
right.
It's not done that way. That's a mistake. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, or even they would do this kind of thing probably as the first draft, right? Like we're going to put something like this
absolutely.
here. Right,
Yeah.
and then later we'll compose something that's kind of like that. But
Absolutely.
instead they're just like, we're gonna put this here, and that's it. That's perfect.
Right.
Move on.
Right.
So that's great. And I think you're right too. That it makes the movie. It's one of those things too that just it never makes it boring. You never zone out because you're not even sure at a subconscious level what kind of music's going to be thrown at you next.
Right.
You know?
Or none. There's all those great scenes where we're talking and it's just silent. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a John Carpenter movie if there ever was one. But sometimes you need no music, and it's like that starts to become, it's very stark, right? A way of storytelling. And all the Foley is all of a sudden up in the front. You're just like your feet stomp, walking or just it's all echoey and reverby, and it's like nothing.
Yep. And that even adds to the tension and stuff too. So so good. So one thing I wanted to talk about this movie was just this sense of like a Saturday morning kind of cartoon vibe too.
Right.
And you got that too, right?
Like absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't know if if it's the just the fact that it's kind of made in our childhood.
Yeah. Right.
If we're getting nostalgia vibes from the quality of the film.
Yeah. Right.
Or it's just the
there
brightness.
Was something bigger that was going on.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that is one cool thing about this movie is a lot of it happens during daylight.
Right.
And so it just gives it this weird feeling where it's you're used to these zombie horror movies always being at night, or it's raining, or it's just the creepy atmosphere. But this is just it just looks like a normal Saturday morning most of the time.
Totally.
Somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere, where it's just like slightly cold and a little bit sunny, and it's just this weird vibe.
Yeah.
That really works. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, and the part where I really felt like that watching it is that once they kind of turn the corner, so after they've landed there and they've kind of figured out, oh man, okay, so it's going to be really easy for us to cover up a couple of spots, and then all the zombies are downstairs, right? So we're going to kill all the zombies upstairs. Then there's that turning point, right? There's like that little scene where they're kind of like, okay, now we're going to set up shop. And that's when they're running around with the wheelbarrows and stuff and grabbing stuff, and it's really like all of a sudden the four of them they're having a good time, right?
Yeah,
and that was what I was thinking was like is that feel good?
Yeah.
Like now we're kids,
right?
Now we can build our fort.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
They put in the fake wall and everything, as they're doing the fort building, all of that, they're going around, they're raiding all the stuff. That was totally like the feeling I always had in the A-Team when they're like, okay, we need to build a truck.
Yep, exactly. Right? It's got that. You're right. That's the vibe, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just we're gonna play now,
yes.
but we gotta hide from the adults,
Exactly.
And it's like, and the zombies are like the adults in a way, or it's like this weird hide and seek game that they're playing for the whole movie, and the zombies are like this constant threat.
Yep.
And this, but they're not too scary because you're in the safe zone, you're in the safety.
Right.
So
exactly.
it just captures that feeling.
Yep. Oh man. Totally.
So good. So now.
So I guess it goes downhill once the movie starts to change. Once, what's the character's name? Steve, the guy who gets bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Once he gets, so when they're moving all the trucks, right?
Yeah,
because that's the whole thing is they don't want they don't want any more zombies getting in. They're like, we already have a crap load to deal with.
Yeah.
Once we can block them all out and lock the doors up,
and then we can clean house.
Then we're just going to clean house and throw them all in the freezer, which I still think is weird.
Yeah, that was not a good choice.
Put them in the freezer.
With Jack Nicholson back there too? It's just not a good idea,
Wendy, baby, I think you hurt my head real bad. I'm dizzy. I need a doctor.
He's not going to like
that. You see
that.
all their food, and they're like, just throw these zombies in there.
Yeah.
It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I guess you could. There was nowhere to burn them.
Yeah,
And you wasn't like they were gonna pull them up on the roof and throw them over or something, right? That would have been too much work. So
it would have been a lot of work.
It was just if we freeze them, they won't stink, because they kind of made that joke, like, you know, and it's starting to stink.
Yeah,
go clean the bodies.
It's gonna
up.
get real ripe in here.
Yeah,
I think you said,
yeah.
right? But you know, I don't know. I think if it were you and I, most people, I would be like, and these guys are pretty resourceful too.
Yes.
I would think that they would make some kind of pulley system,
right?
Get them up on the roof,
that's right,
and then just throw them off the roof,
pitch them over.
Yeah, you just do it in an afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, but no, we're gonna keep them in the freezer,
right?
Out of sight, out of mind.
So maybe okay. So here we go. Maybe they thought if they froze them and they were hard, they'd be easier to get on the winch to throw them over the building.
That's a good point. When we never saw that.
And we never saw that. So
but
maybe that was it. Maybe when they're all limp and falling apart,
it's just they couldn't get them up. Yeah,
their guts are falling out.
That's a very good point. We need frozen intestines before we bring them up there.
Yeah. They're easy to manhandle.
That whole thing though of, again, they're cleaning house and they're just making their awesome shopping mall for themselves.
Yes.
I just thought that was so cool, and it's just it's so fun, and they're just, you know, trying on clothes and they're gun shopping and stuff.
The gun shop, the safari music when they go in there is great.
Yep.
A stroke of genius, right?
So
this
cool.
place would obviously have safari sounds
You're right.
in it.
We
Which
gotta
it may
get
have.
the
And they're just like, use that.
Yep, and get the elephant bullets and everything, and but yeah, when he gets bit though, then it starts. It's like, oh man, and you can tell Peter is upset too. He's just like, oh. Yeah. You were careless. He was just careless too.
Exactly. He just had whatever. And it's like he dropped that bag, right? Maybe there was something good in it. I don't know what it was, but you're right.
Couldn't have been that good.
And they did a real good job in showing his character, because his character always was really kind of bouncing around, and he was kind of a risk taker.
He
of
really
the two
was.
Of them, right?
Yep.
And so then that's where he fails. Is he drops that stupid satchel.
He got cocky.
I can get it. And then he got cocky. Yep. Got bit twice.
Twice, yeah, and those zombies can really bite too.
Yeah,
they don't mess around.
Those zombies.
Yeah. So then he gets bit, and again that was a good thing. I felt that really stood out to me too. Is when he's in the little room there, they just kind of put him in the side room.
Yeah. Yep.
And
that's
he's
right.
You know, it looks like
it's so weird.
It's so weird, and it looks like, you know, we've all been there, you know. We've all had that moment where we were bit by the zombie. Yeah, and we're in the sick room. True. We got the pile of Kleenexes, we got the blankets, and that again was just really nice. I don't know, was that set dressing? Was the camera crew just living in there?
Right. That's what it looked like.
It looked really lived in. It looked really real.
Yeah.
And that was another great thing too, I think, is how Romero can do this, where it's like really real moments, really real looking things.
Yeah.
Mixed with cartoon blood and blue zombies and just this cartooniness too, mixed with the realistic, is just genius.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's Roger.
Ah, Roger. He's the one that got.
When they never even call him Steven. Only the girlfirl ever calls him Steven,
because
right?
he's Flyboy.
Flyboy to Peter and Roger.
Yep.
But yeah, just so that people don't think we're assholes. We're talking about Roger.
It's Roger. Yep. And I like Roger too.
Me too. I really like him. Yeah.
He's cool. I mean, he's got like a
kind of boyish, reckless.
Yep.
You know, and
he's just like, I can do this.
Yep. Even after he gets bit, when they're pushing him around in the wheelbarrow,
right?
He's still trying to have fun.
Yeah.
You know?
He's like, all right.
He's like, okay, I can drive the car. Just get me down there.
You know, for the remake, what they should have done for him, I forget who was. I don't even think they had the same characters, did they?
Really, because in the remake, it was different, right? So it was, what's his name? What's that actor's name? He's a big TV actor now. Yeah, it's weird because the Roger character, remember there's the guy who owns the gun store, and he's in the building across from him.
Yes.
And then they end up holding the signs up so they can talk back and forth. And they're like, how we're going to come over, we're going to go get a truck and get you out of there. Mm-hmm. I kind of felt like maybe that guy
was
the Roger in this one. Yeah.
I think
otherwise there's not really...
There's not a Roger character.
Yeah, not really.
Guy.
They're way more the Ving Rhames and company.
Right.
Are a lot more disjunted.
Well, and that's the thing is, that's what I was gonna say was if they had done like a straight up remake.
Yeah.
I would have cast Bill Paxton as Roger.
Oh,
because
man, right.
he's got the same vibe in Aliens,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
He's the same kind of character. He's like, we're gonna do this. We're badasses, man.
Absolutely, yes.
And then the same way too. They both just completely collapse after things go south.
Yeah, yep.
They in the same way too. Like, you know, Bill Paxton is game over, man. Why did you put her in charge? That guy, right? And then Roger is the same way. He's like, we did it, man.
Yeah.
We did it, right? And they're just like, oh yeah, okay, Roger, stop, just go to sleep or something.
Yeah.
He took a long time to turn into a zombie.
And he did. He did.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because usually, there's that whole, if you're going to get into, if you're all hardcore about your zombie mythos.
The rules, yeah.
Usually, yes. You're going to be in one camp or the other. You get bit and you've got like 10 seconds. Or you've got more the Roger route or somewhere in the middle, right?
Yep.
Where Roger takes a long time to go south. But,
yeah, because Flyboy, I mean, it's in a matter of moments.
Yeah,
exactly. He's a zombie.
Exactly. And I was just thinking in another movie that we'll be reviewing, Wormwood.
Oh,
Wormwood, you've got like 30 seconds max.
Great movie.
Right before you zombie out, and sometimes it's almost less than that. You see people just turn their back and they're like, blah, blah.
Right. In the same way, which I always am angry about, and we've had this conversation many times.
Yes.
But the same way that in the first Alien versus Predator,
Yes.
when somebody gets the face hugger on them,
Yes.
2 seconds later, it's
Right.
bursting out of their chest.
Yes.
You don't do that. That's
That's
against the rules. You need
It is.
longer. You need more of a Roger gestation period.
Exactly.
Didn't follow the rules.
That's right.
So, but I guess to save time, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I think about we were mentioning this too.
Yeah.
Flyboy, I think he gets bit so many times
he does,
too.
That's true. He gets totally mangled
Yeah,
in the elevator.
there's just
Yeah,
more
they're
zombie
all-
juice in
yeah.
him, so
Yeah,
it's a
good
faster
point. Good
turnover.
point. And speaking of that, we should talk about how he must have been cast for his zombie performance because he's brilliant.
That's
Absolutely brilliant. Every time that he's on camera
I know.
as a zombie, you're like, dang it, that's
when he shines.
quintessential what you would think a zombie is. Yeah.
It's for some, yeah,
Corn gold.
exactly. It's I mean, probably Romero saw him as acting as a zombie and was like, oh man, this guy is the zombie.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, now we want you to be a regular guy. And he
Right.
was just like, what do I say? And they're just like, we got to struggle through this because once he gets to be a zombie,
Yes.
people are going to love it.
Yes.
And we did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good though. He did play a good stiff.
He did.
But maybe he's just a good actor.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. No, you're right. He did a good job. He was just, and that was his character too. He was just
that
more
was the
annoying.
thing.
He was just
an
more annoying.
Stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, what a great zombie he was.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And the Hare Krishna zombie.
Oh, the Harry Krishna, the Maynard Keenan
Yes.
zombie.
Beautiful.
Maynard, if you're listening, do you have a brother who was Harry Krishna
Oh, man.
in Dawn of the Dead? Because that guy looks like you.
And he did a great job too.
He did.
And
And it's so good, right? Because like we were saying, where did the Harry Krishnas go? But that was like this whole like the penultimate peace and happiness and love thing in the 70s, and yet he's this total antagonist, right?
So good. Yeah, and you also had a flash of a nun in there too.
The nun, yes. Yeah.
You don't see too much of her, but you also see one of the other great zombies in that movie, the nurse.
Yes.
I love that nurse. She shows up a few times.
Multiple times.
And,
totally.
She's great. This whole thing where they're just living there, and it seems like months that they're.
Oh,
in
it
there,
does.
right?
That's the thing too, right? And it's probably just days.
Yeah, maybe. Right.
But
they have like their. Yeah, it can't be too long because we find out that she's pregnant.
Right.
So it couldn't have been too long because she would have really started to show.
Right.
At the same time, though, it just feels like time has gone by. They're celebrating their anniversary.
Yep.
They're getting haircuts. It's just. And I always loved that too. I was like, I would like to live. Just for a year.
Yes.
Would be fun
in
to
a
just live in a mall like that. With the constant threat of zombies.
Yes.
Around the corner.
Yep.
I'd like to try that, but it all goes south when the bikers show up.
It does. Oh, Tom Savini. Brilliant Tom Savini, by the way. I'm not being critical when I say that. I love Tom Savini.
No, he is great.
And he's perfect. I mean, hey, he was doing all the special effects anyway. Just have him be the main biker.
Yeah, he had the mustache and the hair and everything. They're just like, this. Yeah, he's perfect. Put him on a bike. And a lot of those guys had to be real bikers because they were just they were ready. Yeah. They were having fun.
Well, and they were, and if they had to be, otherwise it was all stuntmen who knew how to ride bikes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many shots of them riding the bikes around in the mall, in an actual real mall.
They're whipping through there.
Yeah.
They're just yeah. You got to be good at motorcycle riding.
Yep.
To do that.
Yep. Not a bunch of dumb actors.
Right. Not the guys that drove the police cars in Blues Brothers. Those cops were cops. Man, pigs. But yeah, I love that whole thing with the bikers showing up and and they're stealing, and then it's like, hey, let's have a pie fight. Somehow, they're living in this mall for weeks and weeks. They never found any pies.
Right.
And the bikers, they're there for 30 seconds. They're like, all right, here's all the pies, guys. Yeah. Let's have a big old pie fight.
The pie shop must have been downstairs. And they're just like, oh, we're not going to go to crispy pie. Well, and we were talking about this. So earlier, back to the part of the bikers are in their element now, right? Mm-hmm. And so before Flyboy, or no, who's the first? Or it was actually...
who's the first death?
Peter shoots the first one, right? Or does Flyboy?
Oh, the bikers.
The bikers. So before the bike, so the bikers know that they're in there.
Yeah.
But they come in and they're just having fun. First, right. And this is what I was getting at, is that they don't show up and they're like, oh man, we got to kill all the zombies and we got to fortify everything. We got to do all this. Right. They're just like, nah. Yeah. Root. Yep. Loot, steal, rob, get in a pie fight.
Yeah.
Just do whatever
just have
you
a
want.
blast.
And you see when they're killing zombies, they are really having fun, right? Mm-hmm. They're just whacking them, doing drive-bys on their bikes, shooting guys, hitting them with junk and
I know.
Yeah.
Didn't they have I feel like one of them had a machete or something and was
I'm almost
chopping
sure
the head off or something.
Yep.
They're just having fun.
Yeah, totally.
They're not sitting there they're not going like, hey, now we can make this mall ours.
Right.
They're just like, let's destroy this like we destroy everything we come into contact with.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, and then once the first shots are fired, then it's war. It's open warfare.
Then now suddenly they're angry. They're like, hey, wait a second. We came here to have a pie fight and to kill some zombies, and now you're shooting at us? What's going on? And they were already a little ticked off with the walkie-talkie exchange, right?
Yes, yep.
I can't remember what they were saying, but they were basically like, hey, let us in.
Yeah, yep.
If they would have just let them in, that maybe they could have got along.
I know. Or hid, too. I mean, they did have a kind of a,
Bikers
it's hard to say.
Well, the bikers wouldn't have found them up there. Right. They just knew where the pies were.
Right.
They're not, hey, again, that was some nice little, artistic, subconscious things going on there. The bikers were looking down below.
Yeah.
They weren't looking up above.
That's right.
They were their minds were in the
or do you
gutter.
know what though? Yeah. They were, because they knew they were there because they saw the helicopter. That's
right.
how they knew people were in there.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah. And everybody wants that helicopter.
And that they all wanted the helicopter. Yeah. Which is probably why, and we talked about this before, but that's almost certainly why they didn't land with all the hunter guys, because although you would have been able to join them as a group, your helicopters instantly co-opted out, because there's this big group and you want to join, and they're like, yes, you can join, it'll cost one helicopter. And they're like, no,
we want that helicopter.
We'll keep our helicopter, because the helicopter represents basically what a car does for a teenager, right?
Yes.
It's the freedom to move, to be able to move
whenever we want,
wherever we can go. And when you have a zombie apocalypse, you have to go to the air, because otherwise it's fight zombies to go anywhere.
Right. You're going to have to be body checking everything to get out of the way.
Again, once we get to Wormwood, some of the best car versus zombie everything in that. It's like one after another. Oh,
that is a beautiful film.
Yes.
That's that is one, Wormwood, made in Australia.
Yes.
A few years ago.
Yes, for Independent Film Channel. IFC, and we will be reviewing that sooner than later.
Yes. Definitely, because it's one of those, most people don't know about it.
It's true. Very true.
And it's really, really good.
It is fantastic. And we're waiting for the sequel.
Right. In a way, it's almost like it's a new chapter in the whole zombie mythos.
Oh,
thing,
it was.
Right?
And it's funny because we're talking about how George Romero is known so well for being an independent filmmaker, right? He's like, the studios suck.
Yep.
The one studio movie I did was crap. But the Wormwood was all done on their. They were using their own money.
Right. And it was partly it was a Kickstarter project.
Yeah,
or
and a
something,
Kickstarter.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And
Amazing.
it took them years to do it. And man, the end product and the thing is too, they had all the right people, they had all the right ideas, and they had all the heart in the world, and they're in Australia.
Yep.
So it's awesome.
It's awesome
visually to look at in a very Mad Max sort of way. But it totally could have failed.
It could have failed at so many.
What was it, 3 or 5 years or something for them to
totally,
make it?
yeah.
Because they're like, well, we would run out of money, and then we'd have to make money.
It's in a way, it's almost. Have you ever seen American Movie with Mark Borchardt?
Oh, no.
And he's this guy in Wisconsin. That's a great movie. We should do that too. It's a great
Definitely.
documentary.
Yeah.
He wants to be a horror filmmaker, right? And he loves Night of the Living Dead, all that stuff.
Yes.
And he's just trying to make this movie with his friends and his neighbors. And he's every Saturday he's just getting people together, and he's trying to make low budget special effects and stuff. And he's just struggling, he just, the whole movie is him struggling, but he's the same thing. He's got all this heart. He's got this passion, and Wormwood could have turned into one of his movies easily.
Exactly.
Because, his suffered. It's not his fault. I mean, it's just suffered because when you're going to make movies one Saturday a month for years, it's going to be all disjointed and all over the place.
Yep.
This one didn't have that problem at all.
That was the
all
crazy thing. Yeah. You'd almost it's like once I knew, and once I watched all the DVD extras and everything, I was like, oh, and then we watched it again. You still can't tell.
You still can't tell.
It's like, that's just.
It's polished.
Yeah. Definite credit to their makeup guys and everything for keeping, being able to keep from segment to segment your actors looking the same. I mean, that's no easy feat.
Right.
When you're stretching it out over, it's like, we'll come back in 3 months or 6 months, and we're gonna have to get you all looking exactly like you did in that other scene, right?
And it had to have been because they were all having so much fun.
Yeah,
that they kept coming back because otherwise, any one of those actors could have just been like, you know what, I'm tired of this.
I know.
I don't want to do that makeup again.
Yeah.
But they were just having fun.
Yep.
And it shows.
No kidding.
So. Great movie.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we were talking about that when they were showing the how they buried the camera for that one shot, and they're just out there in the Australian desert digging this huge trench to put a camera into, and it's like, man, and they aren't getting paid, right? They're just out there doing it, and that shot's fantastic when the car goes over. It was just like, for the love of doing it. Kind of
Wasn't there a part too? Was that the part you're talking about where she just about got hit by the car? She fell off the back.
There was that too. That was a different thing. Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah, where they thought their stunt lady was dead.
Yeah,
because she fell off the front of the car, but then grabbed onto the bumper
while they're going like 70 miles an hour.
Totally nuts.
She was fine.
Yeah,
she just got up.
Fine. Yeah, she just was holding on to the front of that truck. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And you hear the filmmakers like, "Oh, we just killed her.
Yeah.
She's dead.
She's dead."
Yeah.
You can when it happens too, you can just feel like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. We're making this film and we just killed somebody.
Yeah. We just killed one of our lead actresses. Guess we're going to have to
oh man.
Besides okay, we just killed somebody on a movie, which is pretty bad.
Right.
But they're also like, now we got to go and reshoot everything.
Yes.
We got there's 3 years of work down the tubes. Unless we have a really good editor.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay, write her out. She died right there.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yeah. Fun movie, though. I mean, zombie movies are usually, when they're done right, they usually are always fun.
Yeah, they should be. Totally.
Entertaining, funny. I mean, that's the thing is, and we've talked about this before, too. Great horror. You actually were talking about this at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
Great horror is it's so similar to comedy.
That's right.
They're just
Absolutely.
they're just
so close.
They're just a little turn away from each other.
Yep.
And when you can bounce from one to the other without losing it,
that's right.
It's a great.
That's right.
It's just great.
Evil
fun.
Dead to the max. I mean, and the funny thing is too, and we always talk about how it's comedy is integral to making horror work, right? But it's funny because a lot of dark comedy is basically horror without all of the blood and guts and everything, right?
Yep. Right.
the content can be totally disturbing, and they're trying to put this into it's that whole unsettling effect of is it funny,
right,
or is it not?
Which I mean, American Psycho is kind of that. I mean, it
time.
definitely does go in the horror thing though, but even like Office Space, right,
yes,
that's if you really think about it, I mean, it's just these horrible office jobs we've all had,
right?
Where it's just awful. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
It's tragic. It's terrible. But it's hilarious.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, not a single one of those characters was having fun.
No. Exactly.
But we just love it.
Yeah. That's a great movie because you kind of suffer with each of the characters, right? Because they're each suffering in a different way. Right. Ron Livingston's character, he's obviously the main guy that you're following, but you're getting the glimpses into. To each of the other characters.
Yeah.
And
that's fantastic.
The mumble guy is the best, the stapler guy.
Yes,
I forget that actor's name.
He is awesome.
He is awesome. But stapler, my.
I love that guy. He's so good. That's another versatile actor right there. I mean, he went from that to like, remember he was like the boss in News Radio?
Yes. Yeah.
It's the same guy,
Same dude.
Wow.
Yeah. Or a chameleon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
He's the Gary Oldman of stocky middle-aged dudes. But getting back to Dawn of the Dead.
Back to the Dawn of the Dead.
We should also mention because we were starting to have a great conversation about this too.
Yes.
Just about we should touch on it. Again, we don't want to get so professorially about this.
Oh, hoity-toity.
Yeah, but there's definitely this. We should talk about this because a lot of people are aware of this. Maybe a lot aren't too. But this whole, one of the reasons why this movie just stands the test of time.
Right.
Is it's also besides all the fun stuff.
Yep.
You can enjoy it on that level and just have an entertaining, fun movie. There's also that deeper level that you can enjoy it on too, where it's really a thinking movie too, because this is I hate to say it, but it's true. This is such a commentary on society.
Oh man, absolutely it is. Yeah, you totally put your finger on it. Yeah. And this is right. This is where we were going before. It's the bigger what is Romero reflecting on, right? Because he isn't making some cookie cutter Hollywood piece of crap slasher film, right? And those are fun in their own way, and they're great. But that's not at all what he was doing.
Right.
He was commenting on something else, and so what we were talking about the other night is that it was funny how after 1911, the pop culture zombie mythos exploded, right? It went crazy. It was zombie every freaking thing was zombie something.
Yes.
You'd go to Jamba Juice and get your zombie Jamba. And
hold on a second. I want to pause you a second because you said after 1911.
Oh.
Which, I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, my brain was going back to like voodoo and stuff and like, all right. Yeah, I guess that was when the zombie thing started exploding.
Yes.
Man, you've done a lot of research about this.
No. 9/11.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Get the 100 out of there.
You're right.
1911.
Although, you may be right though. There could have been this huge zombie wave in 1911 we just aren't aware of.
Yes.
We haven't been watching too many movies from the 10s.
Man. Yes. Well, we'll figure that one out eventually.
Yeah,
yes,
we will.
totally.
We'll get to those.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9/11 is what I meant. Thank you.
Yes, after 9/11.
After 9/11, there was culturally some bubble, something happened, and where I personally think that it was so. We are Gen Xers, and I think it was a Gen Xer reaction because the millennials, I think, were still just coming of age, and they weren't quite there to make it. But I think Gen X was, we were in the driver's seat at that point at 9/11, right? We're really coming in, and it's like there's the change of the guards about to happen with the boomers, and we were all of a sudden all having this moment of being like, what the crap is going on?
Yes.
And it wasn't, and I don't mean like what the crap's going on in movies or anything, but it's what the crap is going on with everything.
In the world, yeah.
And it was the idea of all being a slave to something, all being motivated, or all being trapped in some bigger motivation that we had no control over.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And so you have a zombie feeling about so many things all of a sudden. It wasn't just work.
No.
Right? Because people have always felt that way about work. But all of a sudden, it was about every time I turn the TV on, I'm a zombie. Every time I get into traffic, I'm a zombie. Every time I go on the internet, I'm inundated with crap trying to point me and do this, do that, buy this, buy that. You're just...
And what's crazy is we're all aware of it. We're always aware of it.
That's right.
It was just when 9/11 happened. That's when it was like, that was like the bikers coming in through the door.
The tipping point.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, okay, this has been going on. Now we do have to be afraid.
Yes.
We were always afraid before, though, too. We could feel the threat of it.
Yep.
But that was when it just really had a face.
Yep.
And now we were like,
right.
How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, pop culture reflected that to the max, man.
Definitely. Yep.
To the max.
That's when the whole zombie boom started to happen again.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that too, how, in the past, even, Dawn of the Dead, 78, right?
Yeah.
You had these bubbles of okay, people like zombies, now they're kind of tired of zombies.
Exactly.
People like masked killers, now they're kind of tired of masked killers. Yes. People, they just had these like waves of popularity, and they would come and disappear. But once 9/11 happened, it was zombies, and we're still in it.
And we're still in it. We really still are in it.
And Shaun of the Dead came out. We were like, okay, we probably were thinking, okay, now it's going to die out because now it's spoofing itself. It's making fun of the genre. And now we can say, okay, now we can move on to something else. It didn't happen.
The opposite happened, right? Yeah. It was like, not only are we all agreeing that something bigger is going on with this, but we can even laugh about it.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. 99 times out of 100, when you start spoofing it, it's dead, right? It's already dead because those guys are coming in to feast on the carcass of it.
That's right. Yep.
But you're right. That was just shoveling coal on the fire.
Just boom. Yeah. And then there's just more. And then there was more comedy zombie movies.
Exactly.
And so then you had
zombie strippers.
Yeah. And now you have
which is a good one.
Oh man. Zombievers.
Yes.
I mean, you have now, instead of just a zombie genre, you have zombie subgenres
within. Yeah.
And so it's like, do you like your kind of funny zombies? Do you like your scary zombies? Do you like your fast zombies?
Yep.
You like your classic zombies?
Yep.
Do you like your underwater Nazi zombies?
Right.
Which is also a great movie.
Yes. That we're gonna have to do.
Yeah, it's not called Underwater.
Yeah. What is that one called?
I feel like it's called like Deep Below or something, or something deep. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or your Italian zombie fighting great white sharks underwater to the movie called Zombie.
Zombie with an X, right?
Wasn't
that one with that starts with an X?
No.
Okay.
That's
something else.
That's the one that has like 5 different titles depending on which country you lived in.
Right. Okay. Yep. And it's totally Italian though.
It's Italian to the max.
Yeah.
But underwater zombies fighting sharks.
Yes.
You can't go wrong.
No. That's fun for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
What's crazy too, I was thinking about it on the way over here.
Yeah.
This is so fitting. I mean, it's our first podcast.
Yes.
Neither one of us has done this before.
No.
But we're having fun.
We don't even know what we're doing.
We don't. Yeah.
We're making this shit up.
I know.
As we go.
We have no script. We had notebooks. We didn't take any notes.
Yeah. No.
We just got this little speak and spell recorder thing we're using right now.
Yes.
Yep. But what's cool is for some reason, I mean, Dawn of the Dead is not our favorite movie. It's
not by any means.
It's not like, okay, if we only do one podcast in our life, it's going to be Dawn. It's not it. But for some reason, it just kind of was like, that should be a good one to start with. And then I thought about it. Yeah. It's the 40th anniversary.
Right.
It's 2018 now.
Yeah. Yep.
Other people, not us, but other people are also 40 this year. Not us.
No.
But other people.
40-year-olds.
So, it's interesting. It's just interesting. These things happen.
Yeah.
But I think, this was fun.
Yeah. Totally.
Should we have any final thoughts, any conclusions? Because it's been about an hour.
Okay.
I've been looking at my watch.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Hour 5 minutes.
Sweet. Perfect.
Cool. So.
Final thoughts, Dr. K.
Final thoughts. Well, thanks for sitting through with us, everybody, and listening. If you've got questions, but particularly because, this is on the internet. So it's great. What we're trying to do is just start a conversation. What Peter and I have done since we've known each other these last few years is we very early on found out that we were absolutely both rabidly,
crazily
in love with film.
Yep.
And so many people around us, our wives and brothers and sisters, and everybody around us is like, you two jerks need to go away and do a podcast because all you do is talk about movies and you make us all feel dumb because you guys know more than we do.
Yeah.
When we don't really.
We don't.
We just love it.
We love it. We can talk about it for hours.
Yes. And so that's what we wanted to bring everybody else in on.
Yep.
So if you're going to comment on this, please remember that you're part of a bigger discussion.
That's right.
A big discussion.
You are part of a neighborhood, if you will.
Right. A neighborhood. What do you know?
Yes, exactly. And the thing is I mean, you know, when we saw Dawn of the Dead the other night, we talked for like an hour before the movie, and we talked for a few hours after the movie too.
Yeah, totally.
There's no real way to turn us off, I think.
That's
we can
right.
just keep going. So that's why I think this is pretty good for us.
That's right. And then that and what you were just getting about just before, why we picked Dawn of the Dead, it was almost like I sent Peter a fantastic text message the other day. It says, I was going through my DVD collection and I've got like 600 horror films. What should we do first?
No, and you said you stopped counting at 600.
I quit counting.
Yeah.
So that was the first moment where we were like, oh snap, right?
Yep.
Because we've seen more movies than we own between us.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And so it's like we just need to get something that is going to start a fire. And there were so many good movies at the top. There were literally, we could have narrowed it down to like 50, our top 50
easily,
and we would have left out 50 that were so close as to not even, you know, be worth excluding.
Right.
But it was just, was it happenstance? Was it the cosmos?
I think so.
Was it the 40th year anniversary that we just didn't realize until it popped into your head right now? And
I don't know.
It was something.
Yeah, it was something. So,
but we hope you guys like it, and we have about, you know, this is episode 1 of maybe 600 or 700. We'll see.
Yeah. You know, it's going to be in the upper hundreds for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dawn of the Dead, I think, you know, go back and watch it again.
Yes.
You know, the thing is it's one of those movies where it's like I try to watch it every once in a while, at least every year or something, a couple of years. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? It's been over 3 years. And for you, it's been like even longer, right? 5 years
Way
or
long.
something.
5 years, I think was the last time I had watched it. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you've seen it before and you love it, go back again and watch it again because it's probably been a few years too. Right. And you should be reminded of how awesome this movie is.
Right. And if not, then you're with us. You're thinking about it and it's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Or it sucks. If you think it sucks, then say why you think it sucks. We won't agree with you, but you know, that's okay. Someone might.
That's true. We do like to hear different opinions.
Yeah. Hopefully, like most channels we see on YouTube, you know, guys do it for a couple of years and they do everything they loved, and then they're out of ideas. Peter and I were thinking, haha, it's funny. We can never catch up with how many things we love.
We never will. No.
Not to say that we won't take suggestions.
Right.
There's going to be days when we're like, well, we don't want to watch that. Yeah, let's ask somebody. And you guys can be like, hey, have you seen this piece of crap?
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Right.
Zardoz? Yes, we've seen Zardoz.
Yes.
Any other ideas?
And I think that's a good thing too, is that it's okay, for one reason or another, we're not going to say like this is what we are, right? But,
right.
But I think, and we kind of both agree on this, we're not ever going to choose movies that we don't like to just bash or tear apart because who needs that, right? We're not critics. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
We're not critics.
The words were coming out of my mouth, Pete.
Yeah.
That's probably important for our audience just to know about us is that we absolutely are not critics. We're not in this under the pretense of thinking that we know something about the industry and that we are able to objectively or otherwise, under the pretense of objectivity, pretend that we can say whether or not something is good or bad. There's a huge difference between making a moral statement on something, on whether or not it's good or it's crap or it's mediocre. That's for critics to do.
Yeah.
What we do and what our plan is to do is to take movies that we love. Now, we might love them because they're crap.
Yes, that's a good point.
That's very important. And we might also love them because they really are terrible. But as we were talking about the other day, this is important too. We'll never review something boring because we both.
That's the worst kind of movie.
That's the worst kind of movie. Is a boring movie. Who would even want to talk about something that's boring? You can talk about the problem with things being boring, and that would make a great episode. But we're going to do movies we love, and we might love them for any myriad of reasons.
Yes.
But we're not really here to be like, hey, this is a piece of crap, because if you want that, go to Looper.
Yeah.
Go to any critics,
500 different channels.
There
out
are at least
right?
500 channels with critics, and they all think they know something, and they don't. So,
and we don't. I mean, we are geniuses,
yes.
but we don't know everything.
We don't, and we don't pretend to.
No.
We just know that we love film.
We know we love movies.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's, that's what we want to accomplish with this, is just celebrate great movies.
Great film. Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.